Hi everybody, my name is Barry Schwartz. This is a Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, May 10th, and this is the news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable over the past week or so. First up, Google update might be happening. We reported earlier this week, Tuesday, that a lot of people are chattering about a possible Google update, ranking fluctuations, changes in the search results. And then yesterday, I posted another update saying it seems to be happening, a lot more uptake. Usually when we see updates happening, we see people talking about it early on, a few days beforehand. We see some people talking about it, and more people start talking about it, noticing it in their rankings, and notice it in their analytics. I did email Google. Google responded saying they have nothing to announce yet, and they're constantly making changes to their algorithms, and fluctuations are typical in Google search results, but they have nothing to announce. What could have happened? There could be a lot of things that happen. It could be a user interface change, where Google made a change to how things are looking in the results, which changed the click-through rate. It could, and obviously sometimes rankings, depending on user interface. It could be something related to a link network getting busted, and obviously Webmaster is being affected by that. It could be related to maybe a Panda update that Google's no longer confirming or announcing in the future, or it could be related to something they're testing, and they're testing in and out of their search results and stuff like that. Or it could be nothing, and we could just be making this all up. So we have two posts about that, one on May 7th and one on May 9th. I also posted a summary about this on Search Engine Land, you can check it out as well. We also posted on May 6th, Monday, the May 2013 Google Webmaster report. We discussed a lot of things that are going on. Obviously, I break it down all by category, and I go through all the various updates that we discussed, and there were really no big updates this past month. We talked a lot about SEO changes, some user interface changes, and some Webmaster tools changes. So if you want to catch up in the last month, just go to seroundtable.com, click on the archives, go to the Google Updates category, or go to May 6th, and you'll see that those details. Exact match domainers. So it's been a while since we talked about the EMD exact match domain update, but there were some discussions in Webmaster World recently about some websites actually recovering from that update. Coming out of that, some have said they actually moved to a non-exact match domain name, move all the content as is, and just moved everything over. Did not 301, which just basically moved everything over, and they had their rankings back overnight, or close to it. And some saying they just waited it out and it started to actually reverse itself, meaning the EMD update is less sophisticated or less in your face. That being said, it's still one of those updates that hasn't really gotten much attention from webmasters. It affects obviously only those with EMDs. And it seems like Google hasn't updated it significantly in the future and much in the past. So we'll see what's going to happen with that over time. We have more information about that on May 6th at seroundtable.com. Google's Matt Cutts, the search spam engineer at Google, basically said, even though we have things in a patent or in a patent application, it doesn't mean that we're using that in the algorithm. He said that in his response to somebody's question in the Webmaster video saying, what's the latest SEO misconception that you would like to debunk? And he said, one of the main things that I like to debunk, the most important one I think, in the SEO community specifically, is that people take these patent documents and say, hey, just because it's in a patent, it's probably in Google's algorithm. That's not the case. He gave two specific examples. One is, I think he said something about domain name register. Just because they're a domain name register doesn't mean they're actually looking at certain information in your domain name. And two, I believe he said that. I could be wrong. I'll have to check it out again. And two is specifically talking about an algorithm or a patent talking about how Google changes the search results. There's fluctuation in the search results, and then looks to see what webmasters or SEOs change things. And then based on what they're changing, they're able to detect if they're a spam or not. So it's basically tricking SEOs into doing certain things that they shouldn't be doing, in order to figure out who the spammers are and who aren't. And he made it sound like he didn't say that. He didn't say they're not using that. He basically made it sound like they aren't using those in the current Google algorithm. This was an interesting case. I posted about it this morning. It seems like Google News. So if you're a Google News site, you're in Google's News Index, and you do a search for the title or the headline of the post, typically it won't show up in the organic results. It will show up in the Google News Universal area, but it won't necessarily show up in the organic search results. Depends, sometimes it will, sometimes it won't, but it typically only show it once. The question is why? Is it a bug on Google? Is it a bug with the website? Is it a bug with something else? It's hard to know for sure, and we'll see what people have to say. On the business side of news, Yahoo has renewed their search partnership, their search alliance partnership with Microsoft, Bing, where Bing is actually going to power, obviously, their organic and paid search results. The deal was that Microsoft has continued to promise their RPS, their revenue per search. So basically, Yahoo is not living up to the revenue per search what they wanted to. Microsoft's promising they'll give them a certain revenue per search, and they have renewed that. Microsoft has renewed that with Yahoo, but it seems that Yahoo did not want to renew it, but they really have no other choice. They're stuck in a position where they're not meeting their own RPS goals. They have no algorithm to use right now by themselves. They have no search network to use by themselves and network, because I don't know what's the state of that. Their whole search team is pretty much dissolved for the most part. So we have a lot of discussion around that and Yahoo's future with Microsoft. Google Maps is testing out a new shiny new look and feel. It's expected, the Google operating system reported this, it's expected that Google might be announcing this at Google I/O next week, but it's a really cool new interface. They've completely revamped the whole thing. It looks completely new. And it's more of a, I guess, overlay navigation type of approach. You gotta take a look at it. I'll post some screenshots so you can take a look at it, and you can see your thoughts there. Finally, Google had a logo for Saul Bass. He was a designer back in the 1940s and 50s. He was a graphic designer best known for his works in films that he produced, specifically the Alfred Hitchcock films. He was born in New York, the Bronx specifically, on May 8th, 1920. He died in 1996 in LA. He was married with 2 children, and it was a really interactive, neat, cool looking Google logo. That pretty much recaps the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz. Today is May 10th, Friday. Everyone have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, and have a great day.